Guys, welcome back to channel Claire. I hope that you're doing well wherever you are in this crazy world. Now, I just wanted to touch on a couple of things with this whole Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and Ryan Reynolds situation, because it seems as if people are feeling like now that we have assumptions of who the additional ladies are that had complaints against Justin, it is assumed, allegedly, that one of the other ladies is Isabella, who played young Blake in the movie, and then Jenny Slate. Assumed, okay? This is not verified since no names were provided in Blake's updated complaint, no text messages, basically no receipts. It was a bunch of nothing. But people are like, are these women really gonna lie on behalf of Blake? Are they really gonna put their careers on the line and their livelihood on the line to lie on behalf of Blake and Ryan? And it's like, yeah, because I've seen it happen. I saw it take place with the Johnny Depp and AH trial, where we saw in the deposition with Amber Heard, and oh my gosh, if you want to be entertained and get infuriated and annoyed all at the same time, go and watch Amber Heard's deposition from the Johnny Depp trial. The many parts, and just how her lawyers handled themselves and how she handled herself. Absolutely arrogant, condescending, vile people, and I don't even understand how that behavior was allowed in a legal setting at all. But if you want to be entertained, go ahead and watch that. But I saw how also AH's friends, Raquel, Io, what was the other one? There was another one that was deposed. But I saw how they sat for their depositions under oath and lied their ass off for AH, because they must have thought, because AH probably promised some type of cut of her winnings, because they truly thought that they were going to win this case with Johnny. They really did. She thought that she was going to win, and that is why she took it all the way to the courts and had to sit up on that stand and lie her ass off and do, oh my gosh, she tried to act herself out of this, and it was horrible. Please go watch that trial if you want to be entertained, and specifically the moment where AH has to let people know what took place with her and Johnny, with her SA complaint that she said. It was just, wow, is all I can say. But I feel like we're going to see a similar situation with Blake Lively, unfortunately. She's going to be deposed. I feel like we're going to get the whole flippant, arrogant attitude that AH gave in her deposition. I feel like if Jenny and Isabella are deposed, they're going to have to sit up there and lie their ass off like Raquel and Io did on behalf of Amber. This does happen. Promises are made, deals are made, and people are thinking, oh, I'm going to get money and I'm going to be able to get in this project if I get on Ryan's good side and I do this good one for Blake and Ryan. Maybe they'll come and take care of me when this has all been settled. I don't think that's going to happen, hun, because they've dug the hole way too fucking deep, and they underestimated what Justin had in his back pocket, his receipts, and the money that he had backing him with Steve Sarowitz, this billionaire. They really underestimated him at every turn. So now these women have been dragged into this situation. These actresses that, are just starting off or haven't really made that big of a splash in the industry, but now your names are in this effed up situation with Blake Lively, who is being touted as a liar about SH and trying to ruin a man's life. Like, that is not good connection to have. So for these people saying, oh, we don't think that Jenny or Isabella are going to sit there and lie on behalf of Blake, I hope they don't. I hope they turn the other direction and say, hey, you got yourself in this situation. I have no clue why you pulled my name into it to begin with, and say that there was other women. And the reason that they said there were other women and likely not the names is because they were trying to pull these ladies into it, and they weren't fucking having it. They weren't having it, so they just had to do it nameless in hopes that come next year they're able to sort it out with these two ladies where they are able to testify and their names be revealed and such and such. But this is stupid. This is stupid. It's not going to work out the way that you think, Isabella and Jenny. because Ryan and Blake's their star power, their reputation is tarnished. There are not going to be a lot of people willing to work with litigious people who lie on fellow actors and peers in the industry and try to ruin their lives. Like, there's not a lot of people that are going to want to work with that, regardless. We've seen the evidence from Justin's side, and Blake and her team have yet to provide anything but lies, omissions, and doctored shit. So, I mean, given what they have provided or not provided, they have put us in the position where, okay, we're going to believe Justin. They have provided nothing for us to believe otherwise. There's also a manner of these text messages that I feel are similar to the whole Amber Heard Johnny Depp trials, because throughout Amber being with Johnny, she would do a thing where she would message her friends, her parents, whatever, in a way in which she would be depicting these stories that really didn't happen, but because she had this plan concocted that she was going to ruin this man's life and give him this ultimatum, she was concocting it and sending these doctored pictures to her friends and messages like Johnny had harmed her, or they had gotten in these massive arguments, which they did argue, so I'm not, negating that. But the fact that her saying that he put his hands on her and inflicted bodily harm to her, she would be depicting those things via text messages to her friends and family, yet there were not no actual pictures of the abuse done to her. The pictures that were provided were proven to be doctored, edited, low-lighted, highlighted, all of those things to give more of an effect to the makeup bruises that she would be painting on herself. Like, this shit does happen. There are some women that are just crazy, and it's sad that you can't believe all women, because we have people like AH and Blake that concoct these stories or situations for their own benefit. So in the situation with AH, she would be doing these messages so that she could have this timeline, so when it came to the point of them getting in this situation where she was trying to get money and extort him and stuff, she could say, hey, I have piles of evidence. I have corroborated text messages that show about the horrible things you did to me. I have pictures. Like, she even said this on audio. Like, she wrote it all out of what it was that she was doing to him, but saying it in a way like, you would think that I would do that, but it was actually what it was that she was doing. So I could see that Blake, because in her updated complaint, she didn't provide screenshots of text messages. She provided these paraphrased, quoted, weird effing descriptions of what the text messages say. Why the actual text messages have not been provided is very odd. The messages she provided in her first complaint, if you remember, had things omitted, removed. You remember that emoji was removed that really would signify that statement the PR agent said was in jest. That was removed mysteriously. But this stuff does happen. So I can't even believe that Blake, okay, she's saying she has messages that are going to corroborate what she's saying and her claims, but that shit could be made up too, because we know that they had a plan, apparently, allegedly, possibly, to get the rights for this movie so that they could potentially do the sequel, which my mind is blown that you would do all of this just to try to get rights to a movie. That's completely asinine to me, and rich people business, that is just beyond me, so I just don't understand it. But this stuff does happen, and I'm feeling very Johnny Depp AH-ish off of this trial with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
So now Blake's team put in late last night this protective order so that when they're going through the discovery process, the public isn't allowed to see what the teams are gathering. I think that is very shady, because if it is what it is, if it's the truth, it's the truth. Why can't we see? And I just feel like it's very similar to Amber wanting to bring this whole case against Johnny and then fight so hard not to have cameras in the courtroom. Yet she wanted the world to know that Johnny Depp abused her, yet didn't want to answer to it when it was time for her to show evidence of it. I don't understand these people. I just feel like at every turn they're making themselves look even more guilty. And I do understand that they are trying to put this protective order in place, which both teams really kind of agree on. But they're trying to make it so certain text messages, potentially, such as from Taylor Swift, massive name, and I know that she is so ticked off that Blake has gotten her all intertwined and involved in this situation, because people are now saying that she is more involved in the movie than what we originally thought. So it's possible that she could be deposed, which would be, oh my God. I know she's so pissed at Blake, and I know that that friendship is no longer a thing, because Blake was really using her name as leverage, and I don't know if Taylor knew that that was going on. So we forgot this whole protective order. I'm not quite sure what come of that, if the judge granted it, but it's a pretty big chance that it will be granted. And it is something, like I said, both sides, both Justin and Blake's teams agreed upon. So everything that's been coming out since their amended complaint has been turned in, the investigative journalism that is happening, especially via TikTok, is just amazing. And the more that this case drags out, I mean, we do have more than a year at this point, the more people are going to dig up these interviews on Blake, these articles that have been written. They are being exposed in major ways. And namely, this Hollywood Reporter article that came out that went over the whole ordeal, but giving a perspective from Justin's Baha'i faith, that maybe this is all a misunderstanding, because Blake wasn't used to dealing with someone like Justin, because they just come from different belief systems and have had different experiences, and the way that Justin talks and handles himself is something completely different than Blake has ever experienced herself. And there's also this issue with the cover photo of the article that has shown Blake in the light of being the aggressor. She has a slingshot where she's using her phone. You see Justin kind of fleeing in the front. He's holding the book in his hand. There's so much imagery and symbolism all throughout this article cover, and I know the artist had so much fun making this. And the fact that the Hollywood Reporter allowed this to be released says a lot, because they're saying that Ari Emanuel, who is the head, heads WME, who was representing Justin at one point before they dropped him like a hot potato, but represents Blake and Ryan and a lot of other people in the industry. They're saying prior, Ari Emanuel had came out in support of Blake and Ryan, but now through connections that Ari has with the Hollywood Reporter, they're saying potentially because he allowed this article to be released that doesn't really show Blake in the best light, potentially he's taken back that support and is now like, well, it is what it is. We're going to let the court of public opinion decide what happens here in the courts next year. Things aren't looking good for Blake at all through this amended complaint. She's brought in two other ladies, Isabella, who played young Blake, and Jenny Slate, who played in the movie as well. They are especially coming hard at Jenny Slate because it has been released that potentially, allegedly, the HR complaint that people were saying that was against Justin actually was against Jamie Heath and not even directed at Justin. And what the HR complaint was for is completely insane. If you haven't heard, let me tell you briefly. So essentially, to summarize, Jenny Slate, they're out there doing the movie. She had a rental apartment that she got that she just was not satisfied with. And she has a young kid. So she was complaining to Jamie Heath, who is on like the production team with Justin and whatnot, and was telling him about her dissatisfaction about this apartment, but she can't really do anything because she'd lose like the $15,000 security deposit. And him being so gracious and so understanding said, you know what, given your situation, I want you to be comfortable to be able to handle your duties as a mother or whatever you need to do and feel comfortable in your space. We will reimburse you for the $15,000. Don't even worry about that. Just find a place you're comfortable in and we'll handle that part. Somehow in her mind, she felt that that was so strange. And because he was focused in on her motherhood, there was a strong focus on her motherhood, or whatever, however she phrased it, she felt unsettled. So she had a complaint that because he offered to settle her security deposit so that she could get out of her lease or whatever she had in this apartment that she did not like and find something that suited her, that made her so unsettled and uncomfortable that she needed to make a complaint about it. Further showing that these people are just not used to dealing with people like Justin in the Wayfarer team and how they hold themselves and how they handle themselves, because most industry sets are completely different. I'm sure all this care and attention and concern is probably not given. I don't know, I've never been on a set, but from what we hear about Hollywood and all the shit that goes on behind the scenes and how things are so inappropriate on these sets, I'm thinking that this was completely different from what these ladies are used to, and it did unsettle them because they were like, wait, hold up, this is a little bit too good to be true, where then like they try to turn it to be creepy, whereas it's just people who are very in tune with themselves and are radiating love and are not just about the talk of it, they actually walk it, they actually are living their lives in the way that they express. And so whereas Blake and maybe this other lady Jenny, they talk about being this loving person, but they're not really acting on it, they're not really living their lives this way. So then they come in contact with Justin and his team, who are about that life truly, and they're unsettled because they don't understand it. And then they turn it and take it to try to be this negative thing, and it's just not that. And none of this is like SH. I have yet to see like what this true SH claim is or any evidence of this. And then poor Isabella, it's going to be an issue with her because she has put out... Let's find it. Okay, so I found the text with Isabella, but I also found here where we have Jenny, the talking about of Jenny's complaint about Jamie Heath, not even about Justin, okay, but somehow Blake has rounded these women into her amended complaint. So within the article, it says that apparently, and this is the thing, this article has been changed, not one time, but 2 times at this point since this amendment has come out. Blake and her team are frantic. The chaos that they are having in that apartment, I know, is at levels that we just would not even... Nobody is fucking sleeping. I doubt they're fucking eating regular balanced meals. I'd be fucking chain smoking and shit, but they got all those kids, so that's impossible. I know the stress is insane. The amended complaint did not go any way in which they thought it was going to go, since their whole plan and strategy was to go out to the SNL honors, which backfired, and then the day after have their amendment out there like it was going to sway our perspective on this whole ordeal. It is insane. What they're doing and what they have been doing since the start of this, starting with providing text messages to the New York Times with omitted emojis and taking out responses and showing us threads of text messages that are all out of context. They're still doing fraudulent manipulation to try to stop us from seeing the truth of this situation when it's so obvious. So this is what it says. This is the original, okay? So there was a security deposit that was around $15,000. Heath informed Slate the Wayfarer would reimburse her for the loss of the security deposit, so she could find better accommodations. But apparently, he made the offer using language that made Slate so uncomfortable. Sources say he focused so intensely on the sanctity of motherhood and Slate's role as a mother that she filed a complaint to the film's distributor, Sony, about the incident. filed a complaint, which means there should be some record, written record, that Sony should have on this. However, Sony has already said they don't have any fucking complaints on Justin. They have it on Jamie, but on Justin. But we're all here because Blake was saying Justin was the one causing all the issues. This is just stupid. Anyway, so it says, it was so intensely focused on the sanctity of motherhood and Slate's role as a mother that she filed a complaint to the film's distributor, Sony, about the incident. A spokesperson for Slate did not return multiple requests for comment. So that is the original statement, okay? It is later rewritten to show that same paragraph. It is rewritten. They're talking about the reimbursement for the $15,000. It says that the comment made Slate feel so uncomfortable. Sources say he focused intensely on the sanctity of motherhood and Slate's role as mother that word got back to Sony. They changed it from a complaint was filed, rewrote it to word got back to Sony, taking it out of an official stance, like there's a written record, like there could be a receipt provided for this. Word got back, meaning he said, she said, people talking, people gossiping, and eventually somebody at Sony heard that Jenny Slate had an issue with Wayfair trying to be accommodating for her and reimburse her $15,000. The ungratefulness of that whole scenario is just so fucked. And yet again, Blake has brought these women into the forefront where their careers are also going to be damaged. Because who's going to want to work with a Jenny Slate, which honestly, this is the first time I've ever heard of this woman. Who is going to want to work with a Jenny Slate who is ungrateful that Wayfair Studios is reimbursing her or wanting to reimburse her $15,000? Do you want to know how many people would love to have bosses that are that accommodating and actually give a fuck? That is hard to come by. And that is just ungrateful that you're going to try to either talk shit about it, feel creepy about it. Whether you did file a complaint, doesn't seem like it because Sony says that they don't have it. They rewrote it to show that word got back to. But then it's changed again, y'all. They changed it up again. They took it back to saying that she filed a complaint. So somebody must have said from Blake's team, from Jenny's team, that looks bad, which it fucking does because it contradicts everything that they're trying to say here. Change it back to fucking complaint because that makes it more official. But if you're saying that an official complaint was filed to Sony, provide the fucking receipt. And why is Sony not being sued too? Because they were given all of this information of all this inappropriateness happening and then turned their face to it and did nothing to protect their talent. Why aren't they being more involved in this? Why aren't they being sued? Why is Blake not going after Sony for ignoring her complaints and these other two women that she's now trying to have forcefully stand by her? That makes no sense. So they changed that part 2 times. Regardless, it looks bad because you already changed it to word got back to after you had it at complaint. It's just bad. It's just bad. And then Jenny herself is not a I mean, I don't understand how she's going to write this text that I'm about to share with you and then somehow Blake has rounded her, allegedly. Okay, we're assuming that the two ladies are Isabella and Jenny Slate because that's what's being said out there. But you're going to round this new fresh actress into this with you to make a stand with you against Justin, where we have her sending text messages to Justin on how comfortable she felt on set, yet you're going to say that it's something directly opposite. The insanity of this whole situation. Okay, so this is what it says. Hey, just got my film developed from when we were shooting. Here's the sweet pic. I gotta sneeze, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. But this is Isabella to Justin. Hey, just got my film developed from when we were shooting, so here's the sweet pic. I also have to say thank you so much for an incredible experience on my first film. That's what I thought. This is her first film, and I don't know if she's gonna get any more after all this fucking shit Blake has got her in. Which I would think that both of these ladies, Jenny and Isabella, if they wanted, could turn around and sue Blake for loss of funds or for, you know, getting them in the drama where this is gonna stop their bag in the future, because I don't know who would want to work with them after this. So on her first film, what a great entrance into Hollywood. It's horrible. That's me saying that, not Isabella. She says, I still can't shake the feeling of it all because it truly was life-changing for me. You are such a wonderful, smart, and sincere director, and you created such a comfortable space for me to feel like I could fully step into this role. I couldn't have asked for a more welcoming environment. However, Blake is saying the set was all types of inappropriate. Yet, Isabella is saying it's such a welcome environment. Which one is it? She says, it will stay with me for the rest of my life. See you soon, whether in the fall or later. I hope you're doing well. Crazy. That is a very, very sweet text. And she attached the picture, which she wanted to share. And then Justin responds and says, Isabella, wow, what a kind message. You were such a joy and pleasure to work with. Your openness and your raw talent, your kindness and your excitement made me fall in love with directing again. I'm so excited for your career, which may not be much of anything now, and for everyone to see you in this film. You have a big career in front of you. Well, she would have if Blake didn't round her into this bullshit. Looking forward to seeing you again in September, even if we don't need you to work. Come visit. Very sweet, glowing review. They had this exchange. I do not understand how Blake is going to have these two ladies forcefully stand beside her in this complaint, well, in her lawsuit, and then to have these ladies be deposed, and then have these ladies be deposed by Brian Friedman when all of this information is out here, and they're going to have to answer to it and make it make sense. That is probably why their names were not listed. That is probably why no receipts were provided in this updated complaint, because they're having to convince these women to be in this shit. Deals are going to have to be made. Payments are going to have to be made, because if they do this, if Isabella and Jenny stand with Blake in this bullshit, their careers are not going to progress. They're not. So they're going to need to have some type of collateral or something to fall back on once this shit goes the way that it ultimately, you know, it's ultimately just not going to go well in Blake's. It's not. She has yet to provide anything. If she had it to provide after Justin has put out all of this shit, all of the receipts, if she had anything to provide to combat it, when we know that the public opinion is important to them, she would have provided it. They're trying to have all the discovery protected and everything. Okay. Fine. But at the end of the day, we're going to see it. We're going to see it. And I really hope for Blake that she has something that's going to blow this all up, because it's looking bad. And all the manipulation that they're trying to do behind the scenes is not helping. It's not helping their case at all. Oh my god, I just came across this picture of Blake that is just... Blake tells on herself so badly. It's just like the stuff that they have recorded in these interviews out of her own mouth that like shows how she really is. This picture of Blake, I guess this was for promotion for A Simple Favor. She's standing here in her, you know, suit attire that she wore in the movie, and she has this guy on a counter. His legs are like straddled and she's between them, and he's holding up like a martini. Imagine if the genders were flipped. They would... Oh my fucking gosh. Yet she's screaming all types of... Just the imagery and optics of this, and I hope that this is used in the case. Because how are you going to say that this man was coming at you as a woman and you're trying to use the whole Me Too stance and talk about inappropriateness and this and another, yet you have the optics of this promotional picture. It just doesn't correlate, Blake. This makes you look bad, like every step of the way. Like, this is bad. So you guys really need to follow Melanie King. She's a journalist who is really exposing so much on this whole situation with Blake and Ryan, with the Justin Baldoni lawsuit. Please follow her on Twitter, TikTok. She's giving us all the details. So I just showed you that picture that was dug up of the promotion for A Simple Favor with Blake Lively. Then Melanie also found Ryan Reynolds. He was on a late night show discussing how he was sending D-pics to his entire family by tricking his father. Okay? People getting unwanted D-pics of an old fucking man isn't SH. I mean, if you send me an unwanted D-pic, I'm gonna think that's inappropriate. I feel like that's something that I could file HR about. I feel violated. Yet Blake is claiming to be harassed by Justin, yet has provided not a lick of proof.
Digital age, so it's like, my dad took, hundreds of thousands of photos, but not of us. It was like, we'd have these family dinners, and he would sort of, right when the digital cameras came out, it was also in perfect concert with when internet was dial-up. So he would take about 100,000 photos, and then at night, he would get online on the dial-up and email them to everybody, and you'd have, and I'm not joking here, you'd have like 400 or 500 pictures of a blurry meatloaf. And, really? And it would take the gross domestic output of most countries just to download all of these horrible files. And I remember I was a terrible child. Let me preface it with that. I was about 18 years old, and in the middle of the dinner once, I grabbed the camera and I went in the bathroom and I just took a picture of my penis. Yeah. And I just wanted to see if he would naturally edit these photos at some point. Nope.
He sent it out?
Yeah. So I think there's one day, I hope it doesn't happen, but there's a penis picture of mine floating around somewhere.
Well, guess what?
I also wanted to share, instead of Blake responding with receipts, we could just stop this whole thing if you could provide the information that shows what you're claiming. Justin's team has already done it, so sorry about your luck. You started this in the court of public opinion. Why not finish it in the court of public opinion? Why does she respond to the Hollywood Reporter article? Because that cover photo showed her horribly. Her statement says, the Hollywood Reporter should be ashamed of itself. Blake, you should be ashamed of yourself. She proceeds, the framing of this picture is outrageously insulting. The framing of what you said Justin did to you when you have yet to provide proof of anything is insulting. It proceeds, as it plays into every sexist trope about women who dare to file a workplace complaint, yet where are the records of y'all filing these workplace complaints? Sony says they have none. Turning them into the aggressor. You have been the aggressor. You've talked about going on set, going in as an actor, and then switching it up on the director and taking over fucking movies as your MO. That's an aggressive behavior. In suggesting they deserve the retaliation that comes their way. Retaliation is going to a studio and saying, hey, if you don't let me have my way on this film and let me put my cutout here, then I'm going to say that there was SA or sexual, or SA or SH, and say that to Sony, and then actually do it. Like, that's retaliation. Everything that you're saying that they're doing to you, Blake, you in fact are doing, and you started it. So don't be mad when people try to finish it. And suggesting they deserve the retaliation that comes their way. In addition, the story is extremely offensive, as it is incredibly to explain away documented examples of SH. Where is the documented examples, Blake? And retaliation by calling them cultural misunderstandings. It very well could be cultural misunderstandings because you've got your friend Jenny over here acting like shit is weird because people want to help her out. It very much could be a big ass fucking misunderstanding that y'all are just like horrible people and you came in contact with some good people and that unsettled you because that energy was unfamiliar to you. I mean, you have yet to provide any documented proof on the claims that you are saying have taken place. So this is a very bold statement in response. You want to respond to certain things, but you don't want to respond to everything. Okay, Blake, it's not going to do you well in the court of public opinion, which this is now all playing out in, by your request, because you made the first move. Oh, and Miss Jenny Slate, I bet you wish Blake didn't pull you into this whole mess, because now they're digging into your background and they have uncovered this podcast clip with Anna Faris where Jenny Slate is making light of DV against her then boyfriend Chris Evans, which I'm like, I know exactly who Chris Evans is. I have never seen or heard about this Jenny Slate in my life, yet somehow these two dated. Never seen them together, but neither here nor there. But she's in this clip joking about DV against her partner, which is exactly the plot of the movie that she was in, which is very strange and just doesn't sit right with some people, I'm sure. And I'm sure if Justin would have known it, that this podcast clip existed, he probably wouldn't cast her in the role in this movie specifically, due to the nature of the plot of the story of the movie. Like, they're gonna keep digging. They're gonna keep digging. Luckily for Isabella, all right now they have is her sending out a text to Justin saying how comfortable she was with him and how great of experience Justin provided her on her first movie set. But I'm sure there's some people out there trying to dig in shit of hers as well. But this is what happens, Blake. This is what happens. So not only are you fucking with your shit and your livelihood and you and Ryan's whole situation, you're fucking with Jenny Slate and Isabella Ferreras as well. It's just an all-around sad situation. So I just kind of wanted to update you guys with some of the stuff that's been uncovered and what's been being talked about since Blake's amendment has come out. Oh my goodness. Blair just almost knocked my whole TV down. Oh my goodness. But yeah, just wanted to update you guys on everything. And yeah, as more stuff comes out, I will keep updating you. If you want to still be updated on this situation with Blake, Ryan, Justin Baldoni, TikTok is also a great source. A lot of great creators there, investigating, combing through things, uncovering shit. Oh my gosh. Blake and Ryan definitely are going to be updated into 2025 if they weren't already before. And now realize that it's just not the media that can run shit and have a narrative. There's people out here, creators on a platform, TikTok, that is like the #1 platform in the US, probably in the world, but it has massive reach, and the numbers that these videos are doing concerning Justin and Blake is just incredible, and this is just not going to end well for them. So we still have a year. There's still time for them to settle-ish and make like a public statement of apology and rescind everything they've said, because it seems that's the only way this would be stopped, is because Justin wants his name cleared. So they could work out some type of settlement, yes, but it'd also have to come with like a public statement of apology to clear Justin's name. And at this point, I'm pretty sure he just wants to take it to court. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all fleshes out.
Hit Chris. And when I came
Who
back,
starts it? Who's the one that instigates it?
I don't know what it was, but I I have never hit anybody as much as I hit Chris. And when I came back,
starts it? Who's the one that instigates it?
I don't know what it was, but I never hit anybody in my life. And then I met Chris. I love it.
Here right now. You literally
Dear
just slapped
listeners,
him on the face.
I slapped him so much. I love it.
We have a where's that GIF?
I need them to sign release forms.
I hit him so much.
Get injured.
I came back from making our movie and hit some of my friends because I was so used to just hitting Chris all the time, and a couple of my friends were like, you know what? We really don't like it. And I hit my husband, and he was like, nobody likes that. Like, you shouldn't hit people. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. There's only one person.
You know your own strength because you're a strong dude. You're like Lenny from Of Mice and Men.
The other thing, no, is that I realized he was letting me do it. Like, I thought, I was like, I'm beating this asshole up. Like, I'm killing him. And then there was one day where he, like, grabbed my wrist, and it was like, oh, he's letting me do this. I have I'm like a baby, and he's letting me win.
I don't know. I grew up with 4 siblings. We were, you get this. That's like, I don't know. It's rough housing.
And I grew up with sisters, and then like I met Chris, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna kill you. I love it.
But okay, and I'm gonna get to this to our quiz here in a second. But Chris, do you guys feel like, because you're hugely famous, do you feel like, especially when you meet new people, that people have a hard time adjusting to like being familiar with you? And so that like when Jenny is able to hit you, that it's like such an awesome kind of relief in a way that it's like, okay, here's someone who's just like, fuck it, I don't care. Like,
working with someone is different than meeting someone like on the street.
True, yeah.
When you're working with someone, you
don't
away
want,
like, all right, we're in the same thing. And
I do it on Sunset to just hit you.
Or just in general, like when you meet people, sometimes you learn a lot about people when you meet them, especially just in life, and you just kind of can gauge, I don't know, who people are. It's very interesting what people are, what agendas may be or may not be. I could be, oversensitive to it. But when you're working with someone, that's the beauty of meeting other actors or people you're collaborating with, because the filter, the kind of search for those motives melts a little bit. So you can kind of just meet somebody the way people used to meet people, and.
But you see each other at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And you like kind of go through the grind. You bitch about like the annoying person together, whatever, and you learn about it, and you spark each other's creativity levels, and So now you're at the place of physical abuse. That's awesome. What a wonderful story.
It's tough.
And just when you thought we were done, one more thing, because Melanie King has uncovered an article done by The Hollywood Reporter back in December of last year, where it references It Ends With Us as Blake's director debut. But Blake was supposed to be the talent and the actor on the movie. Yet in this article, in December, when all of this started brewing, they're saying this film was Blake's director debut. Justin Baldoni got the rights to this movie. This was his movie that he put his blood, sweat, and tears on. He had a vision for. He was the director of this film, yet they are citing this as her director debut in The Hollywood Reporter. I am just so happy that TikTok exists. I am also happy that Brian Friedman and his team, they are very much up with the times, and they have their team all over TikTok. So I'm sure somebody has picked up on this, and it can be used in their case to show. She took this film from Justin, completely just right from under him, and did her own thing, got her own director's cut published, threatened Sony, and made Justin out to be this villain while trying to prop herself up. This is crazy, and I don't see how they come back from this. I truly don't. But here, you can enjoy the TikTok. Melanie lays it out very, very nicely.
Okay, yes, I am making this from a hotel bathroom because I'm supposed to be on vacation and focus sleep, and so I have some tea. So The Hollywood Reporter which I believe is owned by some part of Ari Emanuel through Endeavor or whatever, right? Well, back in December, they published a list of the 100 most powerful women in Hollywood. And of course, Blake Lively was on there. Well, if you see the article today, they say that it was a blockbuster hit. It Ends With Us was a blockbuster hit, and that it was Blake's producerial debut. So it was her first time being a producer. We already know about how she got that credit and forced her hand, allegedly. But I guess they forgot there was a Wayback Machine, because your girl went into the archives. And do you know what it said? Back when the article originally came out in December of last year, before all this blew up, it said that it was Blake's directorial debut, and that It Ends With Us was a rom-com. So, what? Why? Sorry, y'all, this toilet is creaky. I am not using it, okay? But why would they put that it was her directorial debut and that this was a rom-com? We all know how she tried to take over the movie, and I would say, grab your friends, wear your florals, It Ends With Us. She's running around like it's Sex in the City, and she's Plantation Barbie, and she's really, knocking it out the park. And the article goes into a lot of things. I'm gonna make a longer YouTube video about it because there's a lot of details. But has Justin Baldoni's lawyer seen this? That WME, who dropped him, and then we know Ari Emanuel came out and spoke in favor of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds and called Justin Baldoni baloney and all of this other stuff, making light of it. See, this article came out before she filed her complaint, before the Me Too article. And it looks like they were setting it up that Justin Baldoni would just fall to the wayside, be silenced, and she could take credit as director, and then he didn't let me have the director credit, or whatever way they were going to spin it. But unfortunately for them, they did not see the internet siding with him and us digging up receipts the way we are. So it needs to be looked into. Why would they call this? They actually interviewed her, and they said she was the director. This was her directorial debut, and that a movie about domestic violence was a rom-com.